Hello guys, hi, good morning, good evening. Welcome to your to this session, and this session is regarding China's integral role in global supply chain. So today we will be discussing that how China is dominating the area of global supply chain, and in this area, uh, basically in supply chain area, what are the key industry uh, on which China has its dominance, and second, how much there is a dependency of US on China, and after this tariff war escalated, how much impact will be there on the US people or on the Chinese businesses. So let us start. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I will try to answer them in between. You can post your questions in the comment box. Yeah, going ahead. So today we are going to discuss this China's role on global supply chain. So let us check what's the current status. Okay. So if you check about the current status, let's start with the China's trade volume. So as per the latest available data, in 2024, China's total goods import and export reached around 6.2 trillion. Okay, and this is around 5% high or increase from the last year. So we know that in terms of trade volume, China is a largest country across the world. If you check about the trade surplus, so China has around 992 billion dollar trade surplus, which means that whatever China export, it is greater than the import, and the value is 992 billion dollar, and this is the latest data available from 2024. If you compare this number from US perspective, correct? So in 2024, as per the latest available data, US was only having 5.3 trillion of trade, 5.3 trillion dollar of trade. Yeah, so if you see across the world, US is at second place, and in terms of trade volume, China is on number one. So if you talk about how much export China does, so China export around 3.42 trillion dollar, and it makes it leading exporter across the world. In the same way, US is the largest importer, correct? So yearly or annually, United States imports around $3 trillion worth of goods and services. So if you see around the world, China is the biggest exporter and United States is the biggest importer. Now, if you check about that how much US has imported from China, so US has imported around $438.9 billion worth of goods in 2024, which makes around 13.4% of all goods which US imports. So around 15% or let's say 14% of the items which US imports from China. But if you see that how much US export to China is around 143.5 billion. Okay, it's just one third of it. And yeah, so here maybe some food related stuff which US sent to China, and some high tech as well. So yeah, so this is the current scenario, and in this scenario we know that China is really a dominant player in global trade, not only with US but across the world. It has dominance and it has trade surplus if you see with any other country. Yeah, so let's just check out that by channels, whatever US imports, correct? So by channels, how much things are coming into US, let's say by ship, by air, or by rail. Okay, so if you check about the ship, then majority of the things which US import from the China are coming from the sea route. So we can see that around 63% of the goods which are being imported by US come to China via ship or the vessels or via ports, you can say. And remaining or the remaining major chunk, which is around 32% of the US imports, come via flight or the air freight. And here, if you talk about that, what are the main things which usually come to US via air is that e-commerce shippings like there are many e-commerce company like Alibaba and all, Shein and all. So they are cost effective, and these companies also talk about uh, the global delivery. So that is why, so majority of the consumers are in US. So yeah, so these type of companies do ship in US via air. And yeah, so if you talk about the rail freight, we know that there is a no land border or a mutual land border, correct, between uh, China and US. So there is no trade happen by rail. But yes, if you see that, if you talk about China's export via rail, so China has a direct connectivity with Europe, and it's around the total trade via rail which China has is around 1.58 million tons in 2020. It was the latest data available at that point of time, and which is equivalent to around 70,000 TEU. But yes, I think majority of the trade happened between China and US happened via sea freight or via air freight. And if you see, the proportion is that 63% via sea and 32% via air. Going ahead, let us check that what are the industries which are dominated by the China in the global world. Okay, so first and foremost is electronics industry. We know that China is a major player in electronics manufacturing, and they have companies like Huawei and Xiaomi. Okay, Huawei is a company which got banned and got some sanctions via US, but yes, they are still a leading electronics manufacturer across the world. They are good with the telecommunication stuff, and they are good with some other semiconductor stuff as well. Xiaomi is the electronics brand. It has presence in multiple countries across the continent, and they are also doing really well. Going to the second industry, which is the textile industry. So the textile industry is also very much important in China, because most of the luxury brands do source from China, whether in terms of material, fabric, or in terms of craftsmanship as well. Because here we know that in recent we got some videos where Chinese people are saying that okay, we are building some of the stuff very cheap for the luxury brand, and those are being sold in US by multiple in terms of multiple dollars, correct, multiple dollars. So yeah, by multifold price. So yeah, so in the textile they are major fabric or the luxury apparel company. They do have their sourcing in China, and China along with Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Indonesia's, correct, or the Southeast Indian countries, they are very much dominating in terms of textile industry, and they are exporting their goods to Western world like US and Europe. The third one is the machinery and equipment. As we all know that China is a a major player in terms of machinery and equipment. They have firm like the Sany and Jumilan. So if you know about these company have very good reputation across the world in terms of creating heavy equipment. The Sany is a company which is very much famous for this heavy equipment, and this Jubilant company is one of the you know finest and the largest company which creates construction equipments like towers, cranes, and all. Yeah, so even many of the companies in China, they create machinery in term for the manufacturing, correct? Like so, processing industry, even for the high tech industry, and they even create equipment for all these kind of regular consumption stuff like printing and all. So they are very big. China is one of the largest exporter, not one of, is the largest exporter all this machinery and the heavy equipments. Let's move to the fourth industry, which is the chemical industry. So China's chemical industry forms a vital part of its supply chain because if you see that in terms of oil and gas sector, correct, the refining is something which is very dominant part, correct. The refining the oil and all this, Sinope and PetroChina are the biggest companies which do the petroleum, refining the petroleum and getting out the petroleum co-products, correct, which helps and which are being used in many of the pharma and many of other industries, correct. So there are so many things when you refine a petrol or any kind of crude oil, then you get too much byproducts apart from petrol and diesel. So, and all of these things are being used in multiple sectors, in multiple industries for as a raw material. So the chemical industry is also very large in China, and they do export it around the world. Let's move ahead and just check out that what are the critical supply chains which China control majoritarily. Okay, so there are basically three kind of supply chains on which China has largest share, and which can directly and immediately impact the global supply chains. The first is the critical minerals. If you talk about that, China is a primary global producer of 29 critical minerals, and these are the minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. These are the minerals which are very much essential for the electronics and the energy production, correct. So these materials are being used in various portable batteries. We know that cobalt and nickel also part of various processing industries, chemical industries. They are very much important, and China has has the control of the mines, either of the mines, or they are controlling it via the in-house production. The second thing is rare earth material or rare earth element. So this is the biggest part where China has around 90% of global rare earth production. So, and around 100% of heavy rare earth production. And in our high tech industry, like space research and going into the semiconductors industry, and even on the AI and high tech industry where you require different kind of material which are used to perform the science which is very much critical or very much advanced. So generally China has the control because all of them, almost all of them, are being mined in China only. So like neodymium and praseodymium, correct, these are the example for this kind of rare earth material. The third thing is the renewable energy. So the China dominance extend to the renewable energy production, include wind, hydro, and nuclear power. So if you see that China generate 30% of its electricity from the renewable sources, contributing 32% of global renewable electricity. So the thing is, in the renewable energy sector, China majoritarily depend on two things. One is the wind, and second is solar or the hydro, or you can say. So the thing is, China being a big country, they have so much dependencies on coal fire or the solid fuel energy sources, but because in the recent decade uh, China has focused on the renewable energies, they have minerals, these rare earth minerals, which are being used to create turbines, wind turbines, and these solar panels, because they are able to get them within their country and they have the full control on it. They are able to shape up their renewable energy industry as well, and now they are contributing to around 32% of global renewable electricity, and which is a major thing, correct? Going ahead, uh, if you see what's the impact of tariff on the China, if you see, correct? So in April 2025, the US escalated tariff on Chinese imports to a minimum of 145%, and this 145% is over and above the existing one. So it comprising a 25% increase atop on existing 20% rate. So there were some items on which US were having 100% tariff. So if you include that, it will become 245%, but it is not on all, correct? There are some items on which you have 100%. There are some items on which you have less than 100%, 20, 30, and there's a full spectrum of it. So anyway, so if so right now this is the situation. So what are the immediate impacts we are able to see? So basically there are three major impacts which we can see. One is the immediate economic impact. So first of all, imports are going to decline, and US imports from China plummeted by 36% following the tariff hike, indicating significant disruption in the trade flows, which was supposed to happen because things are going to get much expensive. If you check the second point, which is the retail sector strain. So the National Retail Federation anticipates at least a 20% reduction in US imports in the late 2025, raising concern over product shortage and price surge during critical retail periods like Halloween and Christmas. So there are so many things which US imports which are of daily use, correct? Some of the groceries, most of your items which we use for decorations and all, and there are so many small fast moving items which people use in their daily consumptions, usually come from China. So because it was very cost effective to source it from there, so that is why it was very easy for us to get it. But now anyway, so the thing is you're not able to get it basically. So because of tariff, it is going to be impacted because the cost is going to rise, and it is going to impact the common people for sure. The second thing is the supply chain disruption which has started. So tariff have disrupted the demand forecasting and inventory planning within the global supply chain, leading to potential product shortage and price hikes. So generally what happens when you do the forecasting, that okay, how much item I need to produce or how much item I need to import, whether it's a raw material or it's a finished good, usually the lead time, okay, when you order something and when you get it, usually it has around 3 to 4 months of the lead time. But now because of this disruption, there was some order which were placed, correct, in the recent month. What will happen? It will show that okay, it will show that whatever you have ordered for past 3 months, that is going to be received, because it must have shipped from the Chinese port. It is supposed to be supposed to come at US, and now the tariff will be higher. So there will be a challenge on the inventory side, that how much inventory you should get. Okay, now the third thing is agriculture sector impact. So US farmers are experiencing significant loss with soybean and pork export to China, because they are the Chinese are the largest importer for the soybean and pork, and it is dropping sharply because China is also reciprocating, correct, all these tariffs. So there's a problem with that. So now the the farmer or the agriculture industry in US is going to get a hit. Okay, and it is going to put some pressure on the agriculture sector as well. Moving ahead, if you see that what are the consequences of this tariff for the global supply chain. So first of all, this consumer goods and retail. So the retailers right now, what the retailers are doing? So these retailers are actually bracing for the potential shortage and the price increase. Okay, so what they are looking for? They are looking for that price are going to increase, so that you should be either trim down your inventory or try some alternate source, correct, from where you can check out the lower price or the price sensitive deals, and so that you can able to serve your customer and not pass on all these tariff to the consumer, correct. And in the peak shopping season, this supply chain disruption is going to cause a shortage for sure, which will lead to higher prices. So Halloween and all other kind of stuff like at the end of the 2025, because of these high lead time thing, correct, which is, if you check, something is coming from the ship, it will take around 2 to 3 months. So it is going to take this much of impact. So they need to take care about that, how much inventory they need to order, and how much inventory they need to take from some other source which is less pricey or less expensive. Second thing is on the energy sector. So US export LNG actually, and this industry is of around $34 billion. So because China has the reciprocal tariff on the US, so the US LNG industry is going to get impact, correct. Apart from it, that there are new rules imposing on the Chinese built vessel. And yeah, so the thing is, it's not only that US is imposing tariff on the China, even the Chinese built vessel are going to face the tariff as well, correct. And the US is a majority gas exporter as well, and it is going to impact their LNG's sector. Third thing is shipping and logistic challenge. First of all is the container shipping volume. So global container shipping volume is going to be going to fall by 1% in 2025 for sure, because of whatever has happened, correct. And this is the sharpest dip since 1979, primarily due to US trade policies. Okay, and the second thing is port fee on Chinese vessel. So that what US, as I was telling you earlier, that it's not only tariff on the Chinese goods. If anything which is made in China, correct, let's say you are importing something from Mexico, but the origin of that item is from China, or the vessel by which you are shipping it is from China, you are going to face the tariff. So now companies cannot plan that, okay, take something from China and store it in a warehouse near US and then push those inventory into US and say that, okay, I'm importing from Mexico. No, it's not going to work. Now US authorities are going to check what's the origin of that item, okay, and if they found it is from China, then the whole tariff which they're supposed to put on the China is going to be implemented. Anyway, so going ahead, so yeah, I was talking about the port fee on Chinese vessel. So the US plan to impose port fee on Chinese built ship as well, and is starting at $50 per net ton in October 2025, increasing to $140 by April 2028. And this is potentially raising shipping cost and affecting the global trade dynamics for sure. So it is going to impact, because it will it will make changes, because there are many freight forwarder. They will look for some ships which are not Chinese built, and there's so many chaos around that, okay, because if you check about the shipping industry, there are so many Chinese ships around. Okay, although this is dominated by the Europe and the US companies like MSCs and all, but China also have a significant chunk of it, and I need to check that how much does it impact actually. How much impact does China have on the shipping industry? But yeah, as if the Chinese built ship are going to get tariff, then everyone would like to get their material loaded on non-Chinese build, and so that they can avoid the tariff, and it is going to create a chaos for sure. Yeah, so anyway, so let's say, so we have discussed that, okay, what are the industries where China is dominating, and we have also discussed that, okay, what is the impact and the consequences. Let us check about that, what are the uh, sorry what are the future outlook basically after this tariffs thing. So first and foremost is that there will be some supply chain diversion for sure, and there's a strategy, and a very famous quote is like China plus one. Okay, so companies are increasingly adopting the China's plus one strategy, seeking to diversify their supply chain by expanding operation to other countries like India, Vietnam, Mexico to mitigate risk associated with over reliance on China. So I think from 1980s to 2020, China has lived its dream. Okay, they have expanded their manufacturing, their technology sector, everything like anything. So now they were not that much big at that point of time when they started, but now they are number one. They heavily invested, and they expanded their sector so fast. But now, because there is a over reliance, they were able to do it because of the cheap cost and good quality. But now, because there is a over reliance and their autocratic nature, so companies are looking for China plus one industry. Okay, China plus one strategy. As we all already know that Apple has started moving out from China. They have a plant in India right now. They are opening it, a new one. They are building it Vietnam as well. There are so many apparel companies for these LVs and all. They are moving out from China, and they are going to source from Vietnam. And there are so many auto parts companies, correct, like GM and the Chrysler and all. They are going to import their auto parts from Mexico now, not from the China. So they are also thinking, let's say, mainly auto and some of the consumer products kind of industry. They are looking for the Mexico as an alternative. And yeah, I think I'm saying that, okay, there are so many semiconductor or high-tech industries are moving to India or Vietnam. The second thing is long-term economic shift. Yes, as we were discussing, that there are two kind of strategies which are going into the mind of people right now. One is the reshoring, another is the nearshoring. So reshoring is something, let's say you are moving entire capacity of your manufacturing from the supplier to the plant and warehouse, everything to your source country, correct, or the country where you are actually doing the production. Okay, so let's say US is looking for everything move into the US only, either, or there is a near shoring, or they are looking for something nearby, like near countries like Mexico, Canada, or something like India or Vietnam. Even the Indonesia is involved. So yeah, so right now there are two strategies which many of the industries are looking for. One is the reshoring and the nearshoring. Third is technological advancement. So to counter react these rising labor cost and supply chain uncertainties, so the thing is, if you are going to move into the US, you have to pay higher labor cost, correct. So that is why it was a bit difficult for the companies to move fully in US. So that is why they were looking for some cheaper option like Mexico. So but yeah, if they want to move 100% in US only, so they need to trim down on the labor cost. So there are two way to do it, correct. Either your scale of production is so high, so you can get the benefit of scale, correct? Or the second thing, the technological advancement. So you get a better technology which can work with lesser people, but a skilled one, correct? So yeah, so people are going to, or the organizations or the factories are going to uh, invest heavily on the automation and AI, so that they can reduce their reliance on human labor. Let us move to the fourth one, and it is policy and regulatory consideration. So yeah, so right now, because things are changing very fast, people don't know that what is going to happen in some time or after some time. So that is why things are moving fast. So people are looking for uh, some trade agreements which give them some sort of guarantee or the surety that prices are not going to hike because of these certain reasons. Okay, even if it is they're going to hike, then who will bear it? And these kind of agreements are going to happen. So in which you can define the risk, who is going to bear it, and then you can also risk mitigation strategies or risk diversion strategies will be there. Let's say if something is happening in this region, then you can supply from the another region, and this kind of stuff. So there we will be seeing that there will be a shift in trend of trade agreements, and it may increase the insurance cost for sure, or it may make a change in the freight forwarding companies and various shipping companies. Yeah, so I think this is it. I'm not seeing any questions so far. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Uh, you can ask me any question regarding this China US related stuff, what's going on, and if you have any question related to supply chain management and the logistic operations, distributions management, you can check out our channel. And we have various people around the world who support us in terms of creating good content. And we also have a membership program if you want to know that weekly what happened, what are the strategies people are looking for, and how much the impact is happening with which decision which is impacting global supply chain. You can join us our insider clubs, in which we come up weekly and deliver all of these kind of stuff, that how much impact, what is happening around the global supply chain, and what are the strategies are being taken. Yeah, I think I can wait for some more time. If any questions come, and I think we can close it. Okay, I think goodbye, guys. You can check out our channel. You can consider joining our membership as well, and good luck. And you can if you still have any query, you can